Most people are afraid of being alone, not because they dislike their own company, but because in solitude, there's no noise to distract them from the truth. Yet, what they often forget is that solitude is not isolation. It is not a punishment. It is the most honest space you will ever occupy. It's in that stillness, away from the applause, the opinions, and the expectations, that you meet yourself fully. When you're alone, you begin to hear the voice that truly matters your own. Not the one shaped by pressure or praise, but the one that's been quiet, waiting patiently beneath the surface. Hasn't there, Bash? This voice doesn't shout, speaks with calm certainty. It knows who you are. It knows what you're capable of. And it's this voice that will guide you when the world becomes too loud, too crowded, too confused. Solitude is where clarity lives. It's where the fog of people, pleasing clears, and you remember what you want, not what others want for you. Because often we lose sight of our goals, not due to lack of motivation, but because of distraction. We are pulled in so many directions that we forget the direction we were meant to go. In the quiet, you remember. And yes, it will be uncomfortable at first. Growth always is. When you're used to constant noise, silence can feel like a void. But it's not a void, it's a mirror. And at first, that reflection might not be something you want to see. You'll see good excuses. Your procrastination, the ways you've betrayed your own potential, but you'll also see strength, ideas, possibilities, the you that's been buried beneath expectation. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about knowing what you're no longer willing to tolerate. It's about understanding that your time, your energy, and your mind are sacred. That not every voice deserves space in your life. And not every path deserves your footsteps. When you begin to value solitude, you begin to raise your standards, not just in relationships or work, but in how you treat yourself. You become less interested in proving and more interested in being. This shift doesn't happen when you're surrounded by noise, surrounded by noise. It happens when you're sitting quietly with your own thoughts. When you take the time to listen to what's really going on inside, not just what's urgent, but what's urgent, but when direction becomes clear. You stop running in circles. You stop running in circles. You start walking with purpose. The world often tells you that success is a group effort. And in some ways it is. But the truth is, the decision to succeed is always made alone. In a quiet room. In a late night moment of honesty. In that space where there's no one to impress and nowhere to hide. That's where clarity is born. And with clarity comes power. The power to say no without guilt. To walk away without fear. To pursue what matters without needing anyone to clap for you. Because when you're clear, you're not desperate. You're not trying to convince anyone. You're not performing, you're aligning. And alignment makes you unstoppable. Clarity through solitude also strengthens your intuition. When you remove the noise, you give yourself room to feel your way forward, rather than think your way into paralysis. You stop asking everyone else for advice and start trusting your own inner compass. That doesn't mean you ignore wisdom. It means you finally recognize the wisdom within. And slowly, the fear of being alone fades. You begin to crave that space because you see what it gives you. Direction, peace, strength. You begin to realize that the moments you thought were lonely were actually sacred. The silence you once ran from was actually your soul trying to speak. It's in solitude that you begin to separate the temporary from the true, what matters from what doesn't. And once you've tasted that kind of clarity, it becomes harder to settle for mediocrity, for noise, for anything that pulls you off your path. So no, you don't need a crowd. You don't need approval. You don't need approval. You don't even need constant support. What you need is space to listen, to align, to remember, because clarity doesn't scream, it whispers, and you only hear it when everything else goes quiet. Your vision is yours to see first. That's the truth most people overlook when they set out to achieve something meaningful. We grow up being taught to look outward, to ask for permission, to wait for someone to validate our dreams, to believe in something only once it's been applauded by others. But your vision doesn't need approval to be real. It needs commitment. It needs presence. And most of all, it needs belief from you. You might be walking a path right now that nobody understands, not even the people closest to you. That's okay. They're not supposed to see it yet. Because you're the one who's been given the dream, not them. It came to you. It showed up in your heart, in your thoughts, in those moments when no one was around. And if it came to you, it came with purpose. Not for you to explain it to everyone, but for you to carry it forward with quiet confidence. You have to understand people can't see your vision because it wasn't placed in their mind. They didn't feel what you felt in that moment of inspiration. They didn't stay awake at night thinking about it. They didn't see the image in your head. You did. You did. And just because others don't recognize it yet, doesn't mean it's wrong or impossible. It just means it's still in seed form, growing roots. And this is where it gets difficult for most people. Because when you're surrounded by doubt, external or internal, it's tempting to question yourself. And it's tempting to give up, to shrink your vision down until it fits into someone else's comfort zone. But shrinking doesn't serve anyone. And it certainly doesn't honor the gift you are given. Every time you dim your light to make someone else comfortable, you betray the vision that chose you. That chose you. Real vision is always lonely in the beginning. It often shows up as a whisper, not a roar. It lives quietly in your chest, waiting to be acted on. And it won't always make sense, even to you. But you don't need the whole roadmap before you take the first step. You don't need to see the finish line to begin. You just need to trust that if the vision was placed in your heart, the path to fulfill it is somewhere in front of you. You'll find it by walking. You see, the most powerful journeys begin in private, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one is watching. When no one is saying, you've got this, and that's not a bad thing, it's a test. Can you believe in something when it's still invisible? Can you build something when it's only an idea in your mind? Can you show up for a dream that only you can see? If the answer is yes, you've already won. Because most people never get past that point. They wait for the world to believe before they take the leap. But the world is slow to catch on. The world doesn't believe until it sees results. But you have to believe before the results. That's the only way they'll ever come. This is the part where you must become your own support system, your own motivator, your own guide. When no one understands your late nights, your early mornings, your sacrifices, that's when it matters most. Because you're building something sacred. And sacred things aren't always obvious. They're protected, quiet, often misunderstood, but no less real. Keep in mind, people will often project their own fears onto you. When they can't see themselves doing it, they'll question whether you can. Not because they don't care, but because they don't know what it feels like to carry your fire. They haven't walked through your experiences. They haven't felt the same calling. That doesn't make them wrong, it just makes them unqualified to judge your direction. And yet, we keep waiting for permission, for signs, for someone to say, yes, I see what you see. But the truth is, if you wait for the world to see it first, you might never start. You have to be the first believer. The first mover. The first to say, even if no one else sees it, I will still build it. That belief isn't loud. It doesn't scream or beg for attention. It lives in small, consistent action. The kind that compounds over time until one day what was once invisible becomes undeniable. That's when others start to notice. That's when they ask, how did you do it? And you'll smile. Because the real answer is something they might never fully understand. You saw it before anyone else did. And you kept going. There's a strange beauty in that stage when it's just you and your dream. Dream? It's raw, it's quiet, and it's sacred. And maybe, just maybe, that's when the magic happens when no one else is involved. Because in that space, it's only about the work, the vision, the inner compass that pulls you forward without the need for applause. And yes, the path will be long. There will be days when you feel foolish, days when you question whether any of it matters. But let me remind you, those are just passing moments, not permanent truths. Every visionary, every pioneer, every creator has been there. You're not alone in your solitude. You're not alone in your solitude. You're simply part of a legacy that starts with one person seeing something others don't. Yet, so don't be discouraged when they don't get it. Don't lose heart when they don't believe yet. You don't need them to. You never did. The vision was given to you, and that's all the proof you need to begin. Growth is often romanticized as this grand, empowering process, but real growth is much quieter, much lonelier. It doesn't happen in the spotlight, surrounded by cheerleaders. It happens in the stillness and the silence, and often in solitude. The truth is, the deepest transformations occur when no one is around to witness them. When you're left alone with your thoughts, your doubts, your fears, and your choices. And in that space, uncomfortable as it may be, you grow. You will outgrow people, outgrow habits, outgrow versions of yourself that once felt like home. And the space between who you were and who you're becoming, that's the lonely part. That's where you walk without familiar voices. That's where the path narrows and the noise fades, not because you've done something wrong, but because you started doing something right. You started moving in alignment with your truth. People often think they're being abandoned when really they're being elevated. Elevated. And elevation is a solo experience. Not everyone can breathe at your altitude. And that's okay. It's not your job to carry everyone with you. Your responsibility is to your own evolution, to your own inner growth, to the path you know you must take, even if it means walking alone for a while. Sometimes walking alone is the most courageous act of self-respect, because it's easier to stay where it's comfortable. It's easier to shrink yourself to fit into spaces that no longer nourish you. But real growth doesn't happen in ease. It happens in the stretch, in the leaving behind, and the leaving behind. In the letting go, it requires you to choose discomfort over familiarity, faith over fear, and the unknown over the convenient. There's a season in every person's life where they must go inward, where they must pull back from the crowd, from the distractions, from the external noise, and listen deeply to their own becoming. This is not isolation, it's initiation. It's the preparation that happens before the next version of you is revealed. Like the caterpillar in the cocoon, it's messy. It's dark, and it's quiet, but it's necessary. You can't take everyone with you into your next chapter, not because they're bad, but because they're not aligned with where you're headed. Some people are only meant for a season. Their role was to get you to a certain point, And now your path requires a different level of focus, a different level of energy. And holding on to what no longer fits can keep you from fully stepping into what's next. This is why growth feels like a loss at first. You lose people. Lust at first, you lose people. You lose patterns, you lose pieces of your old identity. But with every loss comes a clearing. And in that space, something new can be built, something more aligned, more authentic, more powerful. The solitude you once feared becomes the soil where your future takes root. And it's not that you'll always walk alone. There will come a time when the right people, the right opportunities, and the right alignment will find you. But they can only find the real you, not the version of you that's pretending to fit, not the version of you that's performing. The real, grounded, growing you. And that version only emerges through solitude. So if you're in that phase now, where it feels like people are drifting away, where the noise is quieting, where you're questioning everything, don't resist it. Embrace it. That's transformation. That's transformation. That's you shedding what no longer serves in order to rise into what will. But you have to trust that the walk is worth it. That the discomfort has purpose, that the silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every step you take alone is building something in you. Resilience, clarity, strength. You are becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive the quiet, you thrive in it. Because you've learned how to listen to yourself, how to hold yourself, and how to believe in something without needing a crowd to echo it back to you. Growth is personal. It's sacred. It's yours. And the more you honor that, the less you'll need external validation. You'll realize that the real reward isn't recognition, it's alignment. It's peace. It's the knowing that you're walking your path, not someone else's. There will be moments when you miss the familiar. The familiar. When you wonder if maybe it would have been easier to stay the same. But easier isn't always better. Sometimes easier is the enemy of growth. The true breakthroughs come when you choose hard over hollow, when you choose growth over comfort, when you choose your future over your past. And remember, you're not truly alone. The solitude may feel isolating, but it's filled with presence, the presence of your becoming, the presence of your purpose, and the presence of something greater guiding you forward. That's not loneliness. That's depth. That's transformation. That's growth. Everything you need is already within you. That's not just a comforting phrase, it's a deep, unwavering truth. But most of us spend years, even decades, searching everywhere outside of ourselves to find what was quietly waiting inside all along. We look for approval, for answers, for power, for confidence in people, in titles, in outcomes. And while the world can give you experiences, it can't give you your essence. That's something you must remember for yourself. When you stop outsourcing your words, something changes. You begin to notice how often you've handed over your power without even realizing it, waiting for someone else to say you're good enough, talented enough, strong enough. But the truth is, no one can give you what you already have. They can reflect it, they can support it, but they can't create it. Because it was never theirs to begin with. It was always yours. From the moment you chose a dream, or felt a calling, or imagined a different life for yourself, you already had the raw material to get there. You had the insight, the hunger, the capability, the vision. Life didn't withhold anything from you. It placed it all inside of you, waiting for you to realize it. Waiting for you to trust it. You don't need to become someone else to achieve your goals. You need to become more of who you really are. The most powerful people you know, the ones who move through life with clarity, purpose, and peace, they didn't find those things outside themselves. They uncovered them by stripping away everything that wasn't real. They returned to who they already were, and that's what this journey is about. Returning to your own knowing, to your own strength, to your own rhythm. The reason you feel unsettled sometimes isn't because you're lacking. It's because you're disconnected from what's already there. When you get quiet enough to hear your own voice again, when you give yourself permission to trust that voice over the noise, things start to shift. You stop chasing and start choosing. There is so much inside of you that hasn't even been tapped yet. Strength, wisdom, courage. You don't need someone to unlock it for you. You need to give yourself the space to access it. That means stepping away from the constant noise, from comparison, from the pressure to perform. Growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the silence where you begin to see yourself clearly again. The truth is, most people aren't stuck because they lack talent or opportunity. They're stuck because they've forgotten who they are. They've traded their instincts for instruction, their intuition for imitation. But the most important answers, the ones that truly matter, won't come from outside. They'll come from within. When you have the courage to ask yourself the hard questions and stay long enough to hear the answers. This is why solitude matters. This is why the quiet seasons are essential. They aren't voids to escape their invitations, to return home to yourself, to rediscover what makes you come alive, to reconnect with your truth. Not the one others gave you, but the one others gave you, but the one you were born with. Because when you know who you are, you stop needing to prove it. You stop needing to explain it. You just live it. Your power is not in how others see you. It's in how you see you. Do you trust yourself? Do you believe that what's inside of you is enough? Because that belief changes everything. It shifts how you speak, how you move, how you handle failure. When you know you already have what you need, setbacks don't scare you. Delays don't shake you. You're grounded, not because everything's perfect, but because your foundation isn't built on something temporary. It's built on truth. You were not created to beg for your worth. You were created to embody. And every time you make a decision that honors what's inside of you, you get stronger. Every time you choose what aligns over what impresses, you build trust with yourself. That self-trust, it's the most powerful force you can carry. Because it's the compass that keeps you steady no matter what's going on around you. Don't wait for the world to confirm what you already know in your heart. You don't need to be chosen. You need to choose yourself. Whoa. You don't need to be discovered. You need to recognize yourself. The world will catch up later. But first, you have to start walking like someone who already has the tools, already has the truth, already has the fire. Because you do. And no, it won't always be easy. Some days the inner voice will feel faint. Some days the doubt will be louder. But that doesn't mean your power is gone. It just means you need to get quiet again. Tune back in. Remember, you are the source, not the noise, not the titles, not the titles, not the output titles, not the outcomes. You. You've come this far, not because of what the world gave you, but because of what you gave yourself. Resilience, courage, discipline, grace, and that same strength will carry you forward. You don't need more time, more approval, or more chances. You need more belief in what's already within. That what's already within. So walk with that belief. Let it shape your choices. Let it quiet your fears. Let it guide your steps. Because once you stop searching outside and start listening within, you realize you were never missing anything. You are simply being called to remember. Not everyone will understand you, and not everyone is supposed to. That's one of the hardest lessons when you're trying to achieve something meaningful on your own. Take it. We grow up believing that if we're doing something good, something worthwhile, others will naturally support us, stand by us, cheer us on. But more often than not, the deeper you walk into your purpose, the fewer people are able to walk with you. You will be misunderstood, misread, judged. People may question your decisions, your timing, your silence. They'll wonder why you pull back. And not that you stopped showing up in the same way for the same conversations. They'll assume distance means distance from them, but really, it's distance toward yourself. A necessary shift, a step back from noise, so you can move in alignment with something bigger than being liked. Ika, you cannot fully become who you are meant to be and still fit into the mold others created for you. And that transition, that breaking away from expectations, from pleasing, from constantly explaining yourself can feel like rejection. But it's not. It's redirection. You are redirecting your energy toward what truly matters, your growth, your peace, your goals. There comes a moment when you realize that not everyone can go where you're going. And it's not about cutting people off. It's about choosing your energy with intention. You can love people from afar. You can hold memories without holding on. You can care deeply and still choose yourself. That's not selfish, it's essential. You see, some people will only understand you as the version of yourself that they knew, not the version that's evolving. And that's not their fault. And that's not their fault. They've attached you to a memory, a time, a dynamic. And now that you're growing, it threatens that familiarity. They may resist it not out of malice, but out of confusion. They don't see the whole picture. They don't hear the quiet prayer it's you whispered when no one was watching. They didn't feel the cost of the changes you made in silence. This is why you have to stop needing everyone to get it. Your journey doesn't require unanimous support. It requires faith. It requires faith. It requires resilience. And it requires the courage to keep going, even when the people you thought would stand by you turn away or stay behind. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question your decisions, your distance, your silence. You are not obligated to explain your healing, but you are not required to convince anyone of your growth. The ones who are meant to stay will recognize your spirit, even when your form changes. And the ones who can't will fall away not because you failed them, but because you failed them. But because you chose truth over approval. When you move in truth, it shifts everything. It shifts your relationships, your energy, your priorities. And not everyone will recognize the new frequency you're operating on. That's okay. Some people aren't ready to meet you where you're headed. Some only knew how to connect with your brokenness, not your wholeness. Not your wholeness. Some only understood you when you made yourself small, not when you chose expansion. But you didn't come this far to keep playing the same role. You didn't survive what you've survived. You didn't grow through what you've grown through, just to turn around and keep everyone else comfortable. That was all. Growth demands change. Change demands courage. And courage demands that you walk through the misunderstanding without turning back. You must learn to be at peace with being misunderstood. Because your clarity is not up for debate. Your peace doesn't need a round table discussion. And your healing is not a group project. You can hold love in your heart and still walk away. You can wish people well and still choose distance. You can honor what once was without forcing it to still be. The people who misunderstand you today might see you clearly tomorrow. or they might not. But that's not your business. Your business is staying true to the path that was given to you. Your business is honoring the whispers in your soul that said, there's more for you than this, is doing the work, showing up, staying grounded, and walking forward, even when it's quiet. Even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet. You're not here to be universally liked. You're here to be authentic. And authenticity sometimes requires letting go of the need to explain, and to prove, to defend. Silence, in its own way, becomes your strength. Your stillness becomes your boundary. And your peace becomes your message. Because, in the end, it's not about being understood by the world. It's about being at peace with yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing that you're walking in integrity. That even if no one else sees it, you know what you're building. You know the cost of your becoming. And you know the vision that lives inside of you. Let people misunderstand you. Let people misunderstand you. Let them form their stories. You don't need to correct every narrative, because the truth always reveals itself, not through arguments, but through consistency. Through alignment, through results. Just keep moving, keep growing, keep becoming. You are not here to be explained. You are here to be experienced. And those who are meant for you will meet you in that experience, not with questions, but with recognition. When you stop waiting for the right time, the right person, or the right approval, you begin to realize that your journey is entirely in your hands. That doesn't mean the path is easy or that it unfolds in a straight line. But it does mean that the moment you decide to take full responsibility for your life without excuses, without blame, without distraction, is the moment your life begins to shift. Profoundly, no one is coming to save you. That may sound harsh, but it's also one of the most liberating truths you'll ever understand. You are your own rescue, your own breakthrough, your own answer. And once you embrace that, you no longer wait for perfect conditions to start you, become the condition. You become the shift, become the shift. When you choose to take ownership, everything changes. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You stop outsourcing responsibility to your past, your upbringing, or the people who let you down. You no longer see yourself as a victim of your circumstances. You see yourself as the creator of what comes next. And in that mindset, your power multiplies. Too many people are waiting for someone to notice their potential, to invite them into opportunity, to validate their efforts, validate their efforts. But you don't need an invitation. You are the invitation. You don't need permission. You are the permission. And the longer you wait for someone to choose you, the longer you delay your becoming. The most powerful moment in your life is when you stop asking, oh, will someone believe in me? And you start saying, I believe in myself, even if no one else does. Because here's the truth. No one can do your inner work for you. They can support you. They can inspire you. But they cannot walk your path. They can't wake up and fight your battles. They can't make the hard choices. They can't make the hard choices. They can't sit in your silence and transform your thinking. That's all on you. And what a gift that is. What a gift to know that you have the power to reshape your reality. No matter how far you've drifted, no matter how long you've waited. This kind of responsibility isn't heavy. It's freeing. Because once you realize you're not waiting on anyone else, you become unstoppable. You stop trying to convince people to support you. You stop needing validation before you move. You move. You realize that everything you've been seeking was quietly waiting inside of you, covered by layers of fear, doubt, and distraction. But it takes radical honesty. You have to stop telling yourself stories about why you can't. You have to stop leaning on the old excuses that made sense in the past. You have to challenge your own limitations. You have to unlearn the lie that you're not ready. You are ready now, not when things are easier, not when people agree, not when fear disappears. Now, you learn to move even when it's messy, even when it's unclear, even when it's unclear, even when you're scared. Because you understand that clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from action. You gain momentum not by waiting, but by walking. Step by step, choice by choice, you build a rhythm, and that rhythm becomes your breakthrough. Your breakthrough. And as you walk, you begin to realize that your power was never about controlling the outcome. It was about controlling your response, your focus, your energy. Life will bring detours. It will bring rejection. It will bring delays. But those things don't define you unless you let them. What defines you is how you continue, how you adapt, how you rise, how you stay aligned even when the road twists. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you question whether you're doing the right thing, when it feels like nothing is working. But those moments don't mean you fail. They mean you're in the process. And process is where transformation lives. Live, lie. If you never felt the discomfort, you'd never discover your depth. And your depth is where your real power comes from. No one can tell you how to access that. No one can unlock it for you. That's the part of the journey that is yours and yours alone. It happens in the quiet, in the stillness, in the decision to keep showing up even when no one is clapping. Especially when no one is clapping. Because that's when your why gets stronger than your fear. That's when you stop performing and start embodying. And start embodying. That's when you stop needing applause and start walking in purpose. You are not powerless. You never were. You may have been talked out of your power. You may have been told to wait, to shrink, to conform. But that power, it didn't go anywhere. It's still within you. Waiting for you to claim it. Waiting for you to claim it. And claiming it isn't a one-time event. It's a daily decision, a practice, a mindset. And yes, it can be lonely. Not everyone will understand why you're moving the way you are. Not everyone will see your vision. But you're not doing this for their understanding. Understanding. You're doing it because something inside of you refuses to settle. Something inside of you is tired of waiting. Something inside of you knows that the life you're capable of creating is on the other side of full responsibility. So take it. Take the wheel. Take the risk. Take the step. Take the step. You've spent enough time watching, waiting, hoping. Now it's time to do, to become, to take everything you've learned, everything you've lost, everything you've loved, and use it. Use it to fuel the life that only you can build. And not by waiting, not by wishing, but by walking, alone if you must. Because the truth is, you've always had what it takes. The only question is whether you're ready to stop asking for it and start owning it. As we reach the end of this journey together, I want you to carry with you one unwavering truth. You already have everything you need within you. The answers, the strength, the resilience, it's all been there, waiting for you to trust it, to claim it, and to move forward. Your path may not always be easy, but it will always be yours. And that is where your true power lies. So, remember, stop waiting for the right time, the right approval, or the right conditions. Choose to take ownership of your life now. Know that you don't need anyone's permission to step into the fullness of who you are. Walk your path with conviction, even when it feels like no one understands. Thus, keep moving forward, because the world needs you as you are, unapologetically. The courage to walk alone will lead you to your greatest potential. Thank you for for allowing me to share this moment with you today. I wish you all the strength, clarity, and courage to embrace your journey. The road ahead is waiting for you to walk it. Good luck on this extraordinary adventure of self-discovery, and remember, you are never truly alone as long as you are true to yourself. Good luck and thank you.